Hi folks, it's the 20th of August 2026. It's about 10 p.m. UK time. I was talking with my good friend Sue Brain the other day, and one of the things we were talking about was the fact that we're in between eclipses. There's a lot to be said about that, a lot, more than I could possibly cover in one video, but I am going to try and encapsulate a couple of specific things here. But before I do that, I'm going to be doing another free to air live stream. 7 p.m. UK time, Sunday night, this coming weekend. I'm going to be doing a free live stream to the world looking at the eclipses and the current position of the planets in the sky. Looking at what's going on in the world, perhaps naming a few names, perhaps naming a few environments, situations or people, but looking at the movement of what's going on in the sky and what's coming up in the next few weeks. Now, whenever I've done live streams in recent weeks, I've been inundated with questions and comments, and what I find is really sad actually. 10% of the comments on a free live stream are just so inane, vacuous, and sometimes downright offensive. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the live stream free to the world, but the comments are only going to be able to be asked by people on both tiers of my membership. And it's about 400 of them. There's only about 300 now, but they'll be the ones I'll be answering questions on. But as I say, we're in between eclipses, and we're coming up to an eclipse of the moon. Now, I've been looking at this eclipse of the moon for a few months, and as we get towards it, I'm looking at it deeper and deeper. And yes, the eclipse of the moon is taking place at 4.5 degrees of Pisces, and it's going to be squaring Uranus by less than 1 degree. And an eclipsed moon, the sun and the moon both squaring Uranus, well, something's going to give. When you see someone born with the sun square Uranus, they're never going to be normal. They're not going to be abnormal, but they're going to be different. And people with the moon square Uranus, they beat to a different drum. Their emotions are never going to be conventional or orthodox. So with both the sun and the moon square Uranus, it points to a time where there's going to be a lot of unpredictable and unexpected energetic release in a way that's going to make a lot of people sit up and take notice. Now, I'm being deliberately vague about this because the nature of Uranus is so unpredictable. It could be really stimulating, innovative, futuristic, new tech, new discoveries. It could have a lot to do with innovation, novelty, independence, freedom and liberty. It could also have a lot to do with sudden, random moments of chaos and disorder, anarchy, disruption, having the rugs pulled from underneath our feet. And I was looking at the chart of the eclipse, and I suddenly thought, blimey, look at that. Well, actually, I was looking at the chart of today. I was looking at the fact that Mars is now at 6 degrees of Cancer, and it's only a few degrees away from my sun, so I'm getting a little bit itchy and scratchy. And then I thought, yeah, it's just past the square to Neptune. Oh, look at that. It's approaching square to Saturn. Oh, and the full moon's 7 days away. The full moon eclipse is 7 days away, and Mars is currently 8 degrees away from squaring Saturn. So I moved the charts forward a week to the full moon. And at the moment of full moon, Mars is going to be squaring Saturn by about 3 degrees. And I thought, oh, that's a stinker. Mars square Saturn in a birth chart is challenging enough. Some of you will be born with Mars square Saturn in your chart. It's an angle that it makes the person very strident, very direct. In some cases, assertive and projective. In other cases, confrontational and even aggressive. It's about anger management, and it's a question of whether the individual takes steps over the course of their life to change their energy from a sledgehammer into a homeopathic laser. I often advise parents of children who have Mars square Saturn in their charts to get them down the gym and into Taekwondo or Aikido or kickboxing from an early age, so that they learn how to manage their energy, so that they can use their energy as opposed to letting their energy use them. Because people with Mars square Saturn who don't have a great deal of self-discipline, their energy uses them, and they often end up in confrontational circumstances, bumps, bangs, bruises, cuts, broken bones. It's not the easiest of aspect. And this one with Mars in Cancer, my friend Rick did a video recently on Mars in Cancer, and I'm sure he was half talking about me because I've got Mars in Cancer. It's great for demolishing kitchens and rebuilding houses, but it tends to smoulder, and then when it erupts it takes half the house with it, half the family with it. And Saturn in Aries, Mars's sign, Saturn will be retrograde as well. And this is happening at a near total eclipse of the moon. It's going to be 0.9, so 90% of the moon is going to be eclipsed by the Earth. So, looking at the saber rattling that's been going on in the world. Now, as I say, I will cover a lot of this in the free live stream on Sunday night. But looking at the saber rattling that's been going on, it ain't over yet. Israel is still bombing Gaza. Civilians are still dying in large numbers. Ukraine and Russia are bombing the out of each other. Drone warfare is destroying both countries, and it's going to be an industrial wasteland for hundreds of years to come. Both countries are being bombed into oblivion. It's awful. And in the Gulf, well, I will be looking at the horoscope of the Gulf states that I have, as well as the horoscope of MBS, Trump, and the other major actors in this, Netanyahu, on Sunday night. I am concerned. There are, later on this year, a few things coming up, like Mars moving at 4 degrees of Leo, for example, that give me a mild degree of concern. I'm not worried about the upcoming Venus retrograde. And the Mars retrograde starting in the new year, well, we'll deal with that later. I consider this coming new moon, full moon eclipse on the Mars square Saturn to be the last big flashpoint of 2026. But it could get acerbic. It could get sharp. So, for those of you with planets at 4 or 5 degrees of the mutable signs, Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, Pisces, the eclipse that's coming up in about 7 days' time, be careful. And even more so, those of you born around 6th of July, 5th, 6th of January, 5th, 6th of March, 6th, 7th, 5th, 6th of April, 6th, 7th of October. You're the people who's going to get hit by Mars square Saturn. It'd be very easy for you to take umbrage and to say or do something you later regret, born out of immediacy and frustration and irritation. And this is the signature of this coming eclipse. Sudden, spontaneous changes fueled by impatience and irritation. It doesn't sound a very nice recipe. I don't want to be the harbinger of doom. But I countenance this. I counteract this by saying, well, look, This is the last big one of this year. 2026, for those of you that know my work, you know that over recent years I've been saying 2026 is the year that changes anything, everything. And yeah, I've attracted a lot of flack. A lot of people have said, what's changed? I'll tell you what's changed. We've changed. Individuals have changed. Flowers are opening. Lead's changing into gold. There's a sense of alchemy at the personal level. More people now, 150% more people now than a year ago, are consciously aware of being disenchanted, disgruntled, unhappy with the way our politicians and our leaders are running things in our name. There's a growing, vastly growing sense of not just disenchantment, but the willingness to do things for ourselves, obviously without breaking any laws, and gradually eroding away and disempowering the big structures that have had their time, what I call the dinosaur culture. And I think that the stronger that movement gets of individual personal freedom and individual human rights and the desire for this, then the more the big behemoths are going to try and disempower that by doing bigger and bigger things. But this is the last big one coming up in a few days' time. And this the change that's taking place in our minds and in our souls and in our hearts, it's going to seep through. Give it another, it's the thing is with astrology, it's always jam tomorrow, and I don't want to sort of buy into a narrative of always having something more sensationalist lying just ahead. There's too many people doing that already. But the intelligent people, those that study astrology, those that know their astrology, or at least those that choose to listen to astrologers, will take notice of the times, and they will choose not to become disempowered by the narratives that are being presented to them, and they will choose to deliberately not let their buttons get pushed at this time over the eclipse on the 27th and then the Mars-Saturn square 3 or 4 days later, 5 days later. More on this over the coming days, and I'll talk more at length at this on Tuesday night at 7 p.m, free live stream to the world, but only comments from members, questions from members. All right, catch you later, world. Bye.